You talking to me? You talking to me?
Martin Scorsese is one of the best independent American filmmakers of all time. Over the last 50 years, he's earned tremendous commercial and critical success. He's made 27 films. These films have received 101 Academy Award nominations and won 20 Oscars. He himself has been nominated 10 times for Best Director and won once for directing The Departed. His films normally share several things in common. For example, the soundtracks that contain period popular music, his habit of collaborating with actors over multiple projects in multiple years, like Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio. The graphic violence in his movies is also a signature of his. He speaks with a voice of violence in films, such as Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, Raging Bull, Goodfellas, Casino, The Departed, The Gangs of New York, and The Irishman. This violence is essential to his storytelling. It allows the audience into the movie to the motives, fears, anger, conflict, and the consequences that develop within and around his characters. The history of America is a story of violence, and therefore the history of American filmmaking is a story of violence. Since the early days, filmmakers have used violence. For example, the Great Train Robbery, or the infamous Birth of a Nation. However, early filmmakers used a sort of self-censorship that did not portray the reality of the physical and psychological trauma that results from it. In 1922, the industry adopted a more formal restriction that was self-imposed. Later, in the movie Taxi Driver, when Scorsese received an X rating, he challenged the limits of those restrictions. These restrictions ensured that violence was sort of bloodless affair on screen. All the audience would see is the staggering victim who clutches at his chest and falls in a melodramatic way, suffering from a gunshot or a punch in the mouth. There seemed to be no distinction between the two events. The genres of gangster movies, westerns, and horror films all practice this deception. The
So they made an
morality
example of him and
was
his
also
brother.
sanitized and concealed.
They buried them
It
while
was
it
cut and dry. It was easy to defend
What are you gonna
what
say in
and
that
who was
newspaper of
good
yours?
and who was evil, and violence was either
I say
righteous
what I
or
feel, I may
sinister.
be out of a job.
Scorsese and others started to challenge it. Used more nuances. Films like Bonnie and Clyde, Clockwork Orange, and The Godfather are some other examples that use this new window into the reality of violence. Scorsese's violence is often disturbing and uncomfortable to watch. It resonates because it speaks more honestly to the history all of us share and are aware of at some level.